Good Monday evening. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith for Garden State Weather Premium on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing. Also, Garden State Weather on Facebook and Garden State WX on Twitter, and also Garden State WEA on Twitter. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've got a storm system developing across the upper Midwest on an Arctic front here down through the southern plains, and everything in pink here from Michigan all the way down into Kansas and Oklahoma and parts of Texas here. These are winter storm warnings. Here in the shades of greenish blue here, these are winter storm watches in effect from Kentucky all the way up through eastern Ohio into northwestern Pennsylvania, New York, and interior northern New England all the way up into Maine. And then back on the other side of this, embedded in the winter storm warnings, are winter weather advisories here in the purplish blue here. So it's about 3,000 miles from this area here being covered by some sort of winter impacts going forward. And these will be going forward at different times through tonight all the way through Friday in various locations as this front makes its way through to the eastern United States coast. And it's going to cause problems here, and we're going to get into the model guidance in just a moment. And if you thought that COVID caused a lot of travel impacts over the last month of January, this one is going to do a number on traffic control and airport delays and cancellations all over the place over the next several days. And we're already seeing action here along and ahead of this Arctic front here, stretching from Ontario, where it is an occluded front at this point, and then it comes down to a very strong Arctic boundary here. We've even got some strong winds and some areas of low pressure that will be rippling along this front as it makes its way slowly to the east coast. Now we say slowly is because the winds are parallel at the upper levels of the atmosphere, so the front's going to be slow to move east. We're already seeing the dynamical impacts with snow breaking out across parts of Kansas here into parts of northern Missouri. And where the rain has changed over to snow, the temperatures are already falling, and we can see this now. We've got temperatures on the south side of the front into the 50s, okay? And on the north side of the front, temperatures are already dropping into the teens and 20s here. So that is an indication where this profile here with the temperatures in the Arctic boundary here are already chilling down to some very cold levels here into the teens and single digits tonight. And this cold Arctic air will be bleeding slowly southeast as this front pushes towards the eastern seaboard over the next couple of days. And we're already seeing this big changeover from snow, from rain on the south side to snow, and even mixing with some sleet here as we get into Iowa and up towards Chicago and Michigan here. And this is only going to increase. This area of snowfall here from New Mexico all the way up here into Michigan is going to increase over the next 24 hours. Let's begin on the upstairs level from this morning's European model guidance here. This is the 500 millibar pattern of the upstairs of the atmosphere. So here's our storm, here's our deep trough that has left, and now we have this wind profile that is coming in from the southwest to the northeast in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that's why the front will be moving very slowly. Now on the European model guidance, heights build across the eastern United States until the front starts ejecting to the east and slowly sinks from northwest to southeast. Now embedded in this flow are a couple of short waves, one in the southern branch here, one left behind over the Baja, and in the northern polar branch, this disturbance here. So these is extremely positively tilted trough, and this one goes neutral to negative on Saturday, and then that heads out on the European model guidance. But what's left behind is this piece in the subtropical branch that heads into the west to east flow and minors out with a pretty positively tilted trough here. And notice the heights building in the western United States. This is over the next 10 days. So we're going to have perturbations move through the northwest flow once the Arctic front comes through next week. And there's question marks on just how much energy is going to be involved in both branches to make something happen on Sunday night and Monday as well. But before we get into Sunday night and Monday, and even into next week, we just want to look at the upstairs first, okay? And over the next 10 days, by February the 11th, we've got high pressure over the western United States, a deep trough, which is neutrally tilted here in the subtropical branch with the short wave diving down from the northern branch here, which is still pretty open, and a closed low in the polar branch here over the Great Lakes. So we've got interesting weather coming up. Now, probably should do the GFS at the same time. And this is from the 18Z run. Okay, again, showing the same kind of configuration. This is what happens on Friday as that cold front seeks through. Now this is at 500 millibars in the upstairs of the atmosphere. Notice again, the winds are all parallel to the front. Here's the polar shortwave. Here's the subtropical shortwave. And this means that heights rise over the weekend on the European guidance, and then the shortwave in the southern branch here, which is closed off on Saturday night, minors out off the East Coast, and another positively tilted trough with energy in the southern branch begins to close off, becomes neutrally tilted, and that swings out because there's just too much energy again in the polar branch here, according to the European model guidance. And our tropospheric polar vortex here over Hudson's Bay, Canada, is pushing all of this along. And notice how it's bending. This is some really cold, bitterly air coming in on February 11th, and this is at 500 millibars. So this tells me that, we're going to have frontal passages and possibly disturbances underneath this, and then it finally goes out, relaxes, winds up here over Hudson's Bay, Canada, warped again, and here comes southern branch energy again, but in this northwest flow, it's cold. But that doesn't necessarily mean stormy, and this takes us out to, what, about the 15th or so? So, this is after Valentine's Day, and then the pattern begins to relax on the European guidance just a little bit, on the GFS. Now, this morning on Twitter and also on Facebook, I discussed the differences between the two models, with the GFS moving the cold air in faster along the front, with perturbations running along the front and changing the precipitation over from rain to sleet to snow before ending Friday evening, Saturday morning. And then it takes that other wave coming up off of the Carolinas with an ice and snow mix here, rain along the immediate coast, and it takes it now out to sea. But the 12Z data, we can pull that up, took the snow and the ice further north. So normally we don't trust the 18Z model guidance too much, and even the 6Z model guidance from this morning had the same kind of scenario a little bit, but it's since backed off. But we'll stick with the observational 12Z model, which still shows us. The 18Z model takes it out, and the European model guidance has nothing going on at the same time. If we looked at the European model guidance here is the Arctic front coming through. Now it's slower, okay, Thursday night, so it's going to start raining around here probably during the day on Thursday. It could start out Thursday morning, actually, right around or after rush hour. And then the cold front is bleeding in slowly from northwest to southeast, and the European model guidance is now catching on to some of the sleet north and west, and then eventually to snow. Now this is a question north of 78 and central New Jersey up to New York City, the lower Hudson Valley, of course interior Connecticut, northwestern and northeastern Pennsylvania. And the European model guidance from this morning shows that system well off the coast and disorganized, with the PVA all strung out. So it really comes down to a question of timing, number one, and number two, with all of these features, timing is number one, and obviously the other thing that is the vorticity, okay? On the European model guidance, from this morning, if we look back at this now, here comes the PVA for Thursday and Friday, and it's strung out with a cold front from southwest to northeast until that moves through, and then the upper trough moves through with really cold air lagging behind it here as we get through Friday night and Saturday when the temperatures really crash. That goes out, and then the model guidance with the vorticity maximum on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening is pushed out off the coast with more PVA behind it in the northern flow. So, there's question marks here, but that's why we chose the national blend of model guidance rather than doing a consensus between one model or the other. I mean, the European model guidance, this is European. We did GFS. Oh no, we did European. Let's do the GFS now. Now, the GFS sees things a little bit differently here. Similar, okay? Similar here, but as you get into Sunday now, off the 18Z run, it shifts it out to C being kicked out. And like I said, this morning, it had this PVA closer to the Delmarva southern New Jersey coast. And that would have produced a lot of phrenologenetic forcing on Sunday. But let's get back to Thursday and Friday first. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the precipitable water values here. This is the water vapor content to be able to provide for precipitation in the atmosphere. It's bone dry now. It is. This is the European model guidance from 18Z here over the northeastern United States from the latest model guidance. Now, there's a couple of things going on here. As we get into Thursday morning, okay, we're going to have two areas of convergence here. We're going to have moisture coming in from high pressure and an east to southeast wind coming in, or a northeast wind, whichever you prefer here, coming in from off the ocean, and then of course our Arctic front coming in. So precipitable water values are going to increase so that we know that by the time we get into Thursday morning here, we've got precipitable water values better than 1 to 1¼ inches here. So this is going to provide some heavy rain over snowpack that is not completely melted yet. So urban and small street flooding is possible under these scenarios, especially over clogged drains where everything is either iced over or melting at the same time. And that's just going to increase as we head into Thursday night and Friday morning, and the precipitable water values are going to be greatest. Again, with this cold front, is going to be slow to exit. So, we're dealing with a lot of precipitable water value here, and when we're dealing with 6-hour accumulation of rainfall or just precipitation, this is just accumulated QPF, and we get into Thursday night and Friday morning here, you can definitely see that we're dealing with, on the European model guidance, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch of liquid precipitation. GFS, on the other hand, from 18Z, doing the same thing. Let's see if we can go back here, is far greater. It's almost 1 inch in spots over, this is over a period of 6-hour increments here. So this tells me that one model is going gangbusters. And notice the 18Z model showing this on the GFS, where this morning it showed similar. Earlier this morning, it had this for Sunday night and Monday. And that's not been the trend this morning or this afternoon either. And the European model guidance doesn't see it the same way either. So question marks for Sunday night and Monday as well. 18Z GFS shows the total accumulated freezing rain. Now again, this doesn't mean that it's accruing on the ground. It means that what it sees in the atmosphere is the temperature profiles change. So the real thing to look at is the total ice. And the GFS is like way over the other model guidance here. This is definitely a concern here. Northwestern New Jersey, the Poconos, New York City, the Hudson Valley area to Connecticut, but this would be the what we call FRAM, which is ice that is actually taken into the model guidance and accrued on cold air surfaces. When we take a look at, let's go back to the European high resolution here from 18Z, doing the same thing, and it, by the time we get into Friday here and Saturday morning, it's got some substantial, accumulating ice here from freezing rain. 3/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. This is some serious issues. It's going to be a mess out here on Friday, I can tell you that. It's all about the timing, the temperature changes at the surface prior and aloft. It's all about, the content of fog also in the morning because of warm air advection building in over the top of snowpack. This doesn't look too good. And the GFS, like I said, just went gangbusters. Now, when we get to snowfall, 6-hour snowfall here off the GFS model, and this is coming in from the 18Z model run right now. It's bypassing a lot of snow here. You could have, a 1/2 of an inch to an inch, according to this, by Friday night, Saturday morning here. If we stepped back and looked at the European model guidance for the same time period here, it slows this down. Let's go back to 12Z here. It slows this down. It still sees some snow here, but again, question marks. This morning we used the National Weather Service blend of models, which is a conglomeration of all the models except the European model guidance. That's separate. I do believe that's not included in the suite here. All the other model guidance is included, and if we went into 18Z this afternoon, this is what it's showing through, let's say, in total snowfall accumulation. Will be the greatest here over New York State, Albany, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Middletown, New York, Poughkeepsie, less so here in northern New Jersey. And that makes sense, but what the National Weather Service blend of model guidance did is to incorporate what the GFS was doing for Sunday. And here you go. And now it's adding snow to a forecast that didn't look promising here on the European model guidance. Now, again, this is total accumulated snowfall on the National Weather Service's blend of models. So this is incorporating whatever fell before as snow or sleet, because that algorithm is correct. Both of them are considered in the same algorithm. So this is the National Weather Service's blend of models here through Sunday. So actually through 10 days. So we're coming away with two different scenarios here. The first one is a major concern of icing, freezing, rain changing over to snow, changing over to sleet. Not a good scenario here for Friday, Thursday night, and Friday. Thursday starts off with rain and warm temperatures. Now, the next thing I wanted to look at is the mesoscale models here, like the NAM. 32 kilometer going out to 84 hours. This takes us all the way out to Friday at 10 p.m. And what we're looking at here is the actual ice from whether it's being freezing rain or rain that's freezing here until 1 a.m. on Saturday morning. Now, this particular model is showing icing right now. Now, this is 32 kilometers. Now, we're not down to 4 kilometers and we're not down to the 2 kilometer or the HRR mesoscale because it's too far in the future at this point of this broadcast to get into this. But this gives me an indication of the actual content of the water as it's coming through the cold front here and the temperatures are falling, and this gives me an idea. So we could be looking at, you know, a substantial amount in various areas here, especially over here. And if we took a look at the sounding, this should be after the fact that all the precipitation moved through, so it's not showing anything there. But let's move back here. Probably let's do this. Let's do the surface reflection here. So here comes the rain, okay, on Thursday morning, northwest to southeast. And this is the 32 kilometer NAM. That goes out, and here comes the cold Arctic air bleeding south slowly through Albany and Poughkeepsie and Scranton, changing the precipitation around here into northwestern New Jersey, Scranton, Allentown, Waterbury, Springfield, Massachusetts here as we get into Friday morning at about 10 a.m. So we know that the precipitation is definitely going to change over, and it's just a question now how far and how fast the cold air comes in to change the precipitation back to snow. The real concern for me, of course, is the icing. So I wanted to get into that. Snowfall from the 32 kilometer NAM model this afternoon. You know, we're not dealing with, you know, there's a lot of dry air coming in behind this. So snowfall could be a lot less than this, or it could be near this. But this is a 10-to-1 ratio, and the cold air is also coming in at the same time that we're evacuating the warm air. So, you know, using even a 10-to-1 ratio doesn't make sense because all this dry air to the north and west of this, and this would be the total up in here, but all the dry air coming in behind this means that the air is sinking, and so and the precipitation is ending. So I wanted to go back. Let's see, we can go back here. Let's go back to precipitation. Okay. This is important. It's about the timing. Okay. So we're seeing this now going into northwestern New Jersey during the morning hours here, Sussex, Allentown, northwestern New Jersey. Let's take this box here and put this into effect and see what we get. It's freezing rain, and you can see it from the sounding. It shows a complete freezing rain scenario here. And then by the time you get to here, let's go back here, where it has changed over to snow in the metropolitan area. Let's see what the sounding looks like again. You know, this sounding looks like pure snow from 850 millibars down to 1,000 feet. But the biggest concern here to me is the icing, especially on Friday morning into Friday afternoon from northwest to southeast. Well, on the shortwave IR image today, we have onshore flow over the top of cold air moving in from the northwest on the higher cloud deck that you can see here, and lower cloud deck in the brighter whites here coming from off the ocean. And we're supposed to have more cloud cover, but it is building here over Massachusetts and southern Connecticut, Rhode Island, and offshore here into the New York City area. That's on the short wave. If we looked at the water vapor, same kind of thing. We can see that northwest flow and a hint of all the cloud cover coming in from off the ocean and the streaming of cirrus clouds well ahead of our Arctic front, and that's so far back here. And this is a streaming of different variations of warm air advective clouds here coming in. It's nice to use Doppler radar's nighttime microphysics here, or daytime microphysics here. Northwest flow meets the ocean, and the ocean is coming in. The ocean air is coming in, and it's already showing up. This is an example of low clouds and stratus moving into the terminals of northeastern New Jersey, the New York City metropolitan area. We're going to continue to refine the forecast as we get settled into the mesoscale here. Shows us when the cold front's going to come through, antifrontal precipitation behind the front, precipitation ahead of the front. So there you go. And we're working on this, and we're going to solidify this and get your forecast on target as we move through the next 24 hours. For Garden State Weather Premium on YouTube, Garden State Weather on Facebook, Garden State Weather on Twitter, actually in two places, Garden State WX and Garden State WEA. I'm meteorologist Robert Smith. Get those ice scrapers and shovels ready because you're going to need both, and warm boots and a warm heart to get through. Changes are afoot